Okay, right. Om Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalaspatikakritim Adharam Sarvavidyanam Ayagrevam Upasmahe. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Before we actually even proceed, rather than just showing the text and frightening you all, let's first understand why we are here today. As in, what is it that we are trying to learn? I know that the subject, the title is Vedantasara. So, what are those terms which come to your mind when we are approaching this subject? So, just want to know whatever comes to your mind, just pull them out. Anybody?
About Brahman?
Brahman, yes, that's true. The Brahman.
Brahman and Atman and the
Atman, yeah.
Para-Atman,
Mhm.
and not being attached to the fruits of your actions.
Okay.
I forgot the word for it.
Nishkama karma.
Nishkama karma, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So Brahman, we are hearing some words here. Brahman, Atman, Parabrahman, and Nishkama Karma. Great start. Fantastic. Okay. I want to hear more. Moksha, says Padmatiji. Okay, moksha. Okay. So what else? Veda. Veda. Okay. So Vedas. Right? What else?
I don't know. I just wanted to know what it says.
I know.
I have no idea.
What comes
what
to your mind?
Vedanta.
Anything that comes to your mind. Yeah. Now that, I mean, you had a few clues anyway.
For me, Vedanta is Vedanta means end of Veda, the Sara, the essence of what Veda says.
Yes. So if you, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Now, let me just give you some few background pieces to put together before we proceed. I think we are on the right lines when we talk about Atma, and then we have the word Brahman, then we have the word Parabrahman, and somebody has said moksha. Then what happens to this Atman before it attains moksha? What are those missing links between?
Indicator.
Sorry, say that again.
It just comes back again in the
So
samsara
it comes,
chakra.
keeps coming back in again. So there is Punarjanma, the reincarnation. And what decides the reincarnation?
Yeah. The deeds that we do and the
Yes.
thoughts we have.
So that's the karma, right? Okay. So now we are piecing together the
Yeah.
jigsaw puzzle. Okay. Then, have you ever wondered why you even want to learn Vedanta? Why should you be interested? What is it? What is that which brings you to this class today? Is it curiosity? Anything else?
Yeah, it's curiosity because I sort of started by going to temples and looking at gods and thinking this is a really good religion. They're sort of happy and they're great people. But then I thought there's a lot more to that, and I should find out the philosophy behind it that's led to these.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks for your honest answer. So there is an element of curiosity. You want to figure out what this is all about. Okay.
Yeah, I'm particularly looking into the elements from Vedanta which can be applied in the current context.
Wonderful.
I'm sure this is so rich. Yeah, I'm sure Vedas and Upanishads would be very rich to definitely provide some context to what we are doing currently as well.
Absolutely. That's a brilliant answer. I'm so glad that you said that. So ultimately, neither we nor the ancients were just interested in making it look either ritualistic or just religious. They had this awareness that what use is any of this knowledge if it doesn't help me or help us or help humanity overcome their miseries. And before we even go into the Vedantasara, there is Sankhya Darshana, which was proposed by Kapila Maharshi. And we have previously done Sankhya Karikas, which was the basis for which was the Sankhya Darshana, Sankhya philosophy. And in that, it starts off with a fantastic acknowledgement that we are always in search of dukkha nivarana. How do we kind of get over the dukkha of various types? And then he starts off saying, well, typically we want to do dukkha nivarana by looking for things which make me happy here and now. So what do? I actually kind of entertain myself to make myself happy. Dukkha can also come from losing people. So I get over the loss by perhaps, talking to other people and, counseling, all those things. I may also develop dukkha by losing a job. What do? I look for another job and find a new job. And then I can also develop dukkha, the sadness or the misery because of ill health, pain and suffering. And what do? I get treatment for it. But he then recognizes that all these are transient and they're not going to offer you permanent answers. So then he goes a step forward saying, what else is there, even if it is not in the material realm, that can actually kind of help me get over these miseries? And then he proposes that, we should really look beyond the material world for the answers. And that's what starts the whole process of looking at the eternal wisdom and then making a case of how we can permanently get over the misery. Okay, so that's where we need to kind of come back to when we wish to understand why at the end of the day we want to learn something like Vedanta. Now, before, of course, let me make a disclaimer here. I am not an expert on Upanishads, neither have I read Vedas. That's not what I'm planning to do. I'm not going to kind of teach you. This is, as I said, it's a study group. But what can I bring in here? I can bring in my knowledge through Sanskrit, whatever I have been learning. I have done MA Sanskrit as well. And I will be able to kind of break up the compound sentences and make it easy for you and find answers through that process. Naturally, the other part is Vedantasara actually relies on three sources: Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Brahma Sutras. Of these, I must say that at least I have made myself familiar with Bhagavad Gita, and I have been able to kind of teach it as well. So we'll try and do this together, and there would be certain areas which are beyond even my understanding, but I hope we can work on it together. So let's do it as a group exercise, and you all can read and come back as well. There are YouTube videos available. If you just type in Vedantasara of Sadananda, you will get 2 to 3 different types of Swamijis discussing it. And one of them, which is quite popular, is Swami Sarvapriyananda. I just came across it last week, and I think I would recommend that you all also kind of listen to those, because he's quite knowledgeable and it's quite helpful as well. So to just give me a minute, I'll shut this window here. Okay, any questions so far before we proceed?
No questions. Just comment.
Yeah.
Not sure whether you're aware, Dr. Swami Sarvapriyananda is in currently London. He did
Oh,
a presentation
fantastic.
yesterday. Yeah.
You went? Did you go?
No, I couldn't go, but I heard it on Zoom.
Wonderful. Good to know that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what we can, yeah, Gayatri ji is also here. Gayatri ji can also help us with the splitting up of the words. This is what we do in our Bhagavad Gita class, which of course is in Telugu, the one which we are doing. So let's make a beginning, and I'll just set some other, yeah, maybe a few things will come to my mind as we are doing. Now, this text is actually quite short. It's a small book. It's not an extensive book by any means. There are 3 sections. The first section is setting the stage, giving the background of what who is eligible to learn this. It's the usual typical style of most texts anyway. The second is the part which actually talks more about how does the being come into existence, to exist, like me, you, and so on. How do we actually come to exist? The process of it. But this should not be seen as a physical process. It should be seen as a spiritual or a mental process, because the bottom line is the third section then tries to prove that the earlier was only an illusion, and you need to piece together things to go back again to realize who you are at the end of the day. So Vedanta is interested in letting you understand and experience it for yourself, who you are. And when we say who you are, there are a few things to keep in mind here. Am I the body? Am I the senses? Am I the mind? Am I the ego, intelligence? Or am I the Atman? So that's one of the things which we will need to keep in mind. So there is this need for us to understand a few terms, therefore. So we have indriyas. So what are the indriyas? Indriyas are sense organs. So pancha jnanendriya, pancha karmendriyas. So 5 senses of perception. What are those 5 senses of perception? In English, simply eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue. Chakshugrana, tvak, nasika, jihva. Then we have 5 karmendriyas, or action tools, you can say, tools of action. And what are they? They are hands, feet, genitalia, excretory organs, and speech. So vak, pani, pada, payu, upastha. We need to know that as well. Then we have Antakarana. Antakarana are the internal organs, which include 4 of them, depending on Sankhya doesn't mention one, but let's call it 4 because we are actually doing Vedanta. So they are Manas, Chitta, Ahankara, Mana, Chitta, Ahankara, and Buddhi. So these are important to know. Why? Because Buddhi is known to be the most important of all these tools. The entire decision making is done by Buddhi, which is different from the Manas or the mind. Mind, there are interesting topics. All these are nicely explained. Nothing is left out. They're all individually taken and explained. So there's no problem. But I'm trying to set the stage in advance. So then there is the concept of Paramatma, and then who is the unmanifest cosmic energy, cosmic intelligence, unmanifest. And what are the qualities of Paramatma? Qualities are that it is beginningless, endless. It does not, in its state of in an unmanifest state, it cannot be logically inferred. It is beyond comprehension by these sense organs and the mind. It is pure intelligence, as it said, Sat Chit Ananda. So Sat is, that is the only thing which exists. Nothing else exists. What does it mean? Sat, when it says, that's the only thing which exists, the one which permanently exists as a reality, whereas the rest all come and go. They may exist in this material manifest world, but manifest is only an occurrence only to go back into dissolution. So they don't naturally, therefore, in comparison, exist as such. Then you have Sat. Chit is the consciousness or the intelligence, and then you have the Ananda, which is the contentment or the bliss that is beyond description. Then you have Avikara. Avikara is, it's not something which changes, it is unchanging. I'm talking about unmanifest, the Paramatma. You may ask a question, how does it not change if it's actually manifesting? So that is not, we're talking about unmanifest only. And then we have other things to look at, which is I think that's fair where we can leave it. So then you have the manifest form. So the manifest form is called Ishvara. Now I'm just not trying to kind of give you too much to overload you. That's not the purpose. Just trying, because we'll come through all these terms as we go along. And then you have that Ishvara is the one who is supposed to be the manifest form of the Parabrahman who brings this creation into being. Okay, this is brought into existence. How? Through another process called as avidya or maya or the prakriti, as is called in Sankhya. So that prakriti is the one which actually has all the material, but it is nicely sleeping, and it is not intelligence. This Ishvara brings in the intelligence. When this intelligence comes in contact with this prakriti or the maya or avidya, this whole existence of material world or worlds, everything is manifest. So that comes into play. So what do we have? So we have Ishvara, which is the reason why all this has come into play. Then you have what is called as the Jivatma. Now, Jivatma is, you can say, the individual entity. Now, what happened? There is the collective ego, you can say. Collective ego means an identity to the manifest form of the entire world that was created. Of that, now you have individuals who are being born. So I, as Srinivas, am now an individual, and I have my ego, which means ego is nothing but an identity. I exist. The very point being I exist. So that, how is that come into being? There is the same Paramatma who has who in the manifest form is called Ishvara, is now in me, the manifest form, as a Jivatma. It's the same throughout, same energy. And the rest of it, of course, is that I am working with my body and I am working with my tools, and therefore I am actually confined to this material existence. What am I then trying to do? I need to then start understanding that actually this is not me. I am that Atman, and I need to realize it. So that is the whole exercise which keeps going through this particular study. Is it okay so far? Shall I proceed?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So the first shloka, if you can look at your PDFs as well. Okay, so it's not all shlokas, by the way. Only a few are shlokas. The rest is all text. So Gadya. Akandam Satchitanandam Avan Manasagocharam Atmanamakiladharam Ashraye Abhishta Siddhaye. So I've broken it deliberately in this English transliteration. Otherwise, it is actually conjoined. It's joined together in Sanskrit text. Akhandam Satchitanandam Avang Manasa Gocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Abhishtha Siddhaye. Right, so we'll take one word at a time here. Akhandam, I've already given the meanings there. Akhandam, khanda means part. Akhanda means obviously not a part, it's the whole. Okay, so in that sense, it is indivisible, the one which is indivisible. Now, those who know a little bit of Sanskrit would know that this is here being referred to as an object form. And who is the subject? The subject is the author. The author is basically saying, I am seeking refuge. Ashraye. Ashray is the verb. Ashraye. I am seeking refuge. For what purpose? Abhishtha Siddhaye. We all have desires, right? A lot of us may actually be worshipping a particular god, or go to a temple and would say that please make sure that my child is doing well in their studies, those kind of things. So there is a desire. But what is the desire here of the author, Sadananda? He's basically wanting to take refuge itself in him, in the eternal Paramatma. So Abhishta Siddhaye, that's his desire. He wants to take refuge in that, in him, in that Paramatma. So now he is referring to giving various kind of descriptions of that Paramatma. One is Akhandam, which is indivisible. In the sense, if you know of another shloka called Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. If you take away a part from whole, WHOLE, the whole still remains intact, although this part has been taken out. So that is what we would need to understand by this akhandam here, rather than can't be broken into pieces. It's not that. Similarly, from a vast ocean, you take a few fistfuls of water, handful of water, it still seems to be the same. So that's what we need to understand. It remains the whole. Sat Chit Anandam, I have already explained that. That one thing which exists and beyond which the rest is temporary. Chit is the intelligence or the pure intelligence or the consciousness, and Anandam is the bliss. Now, what kind of Paramatma is it? Avang Manasa Gocharam. Vang is vak, speech. Manasa, with our mind, thought basically. So, thought and speech and the likes of all the likes of speech, like all the other sense organs, perception, none of them can comprehend. None of them can comprehend this eternal kind of divinity. Atmanam, so again, Atmanam, of the self, that self. Akhila Adharam. Adharam means substratum on which something relies upon, something resides, stays, takes rest. That is Adharam. For instance, this bottle is on a table. So for the bottle, Adharam is the table. So similarly, Akhila Adharam, for everything, it's the substratum for everything. So nothing is there which does not actually kind of take refuge in this Paramatma. So he is now saying, I would like to take refuge in that. Okay, so that is the opening shloka. So most scriptures would start off with Mangalacharana. So Mangalacharana is done for 2 to 3 reasons. One most important reason is the author actually is humbly submitting that I am not the person who is the reason why this has come into existence, this book. There is something which is already there, powerful in this in this universe, and therefore I humbly submit myself. Second reason would be to prevent any obstacles for this work, because it is a very important work. I don't want any obstacles. I would therefore like you to, I therefore worship you to make sure that this work completes. And so on. So, but whatever it is said, it is a very nice way to kind of humbly submit our work to the cosmic divinity. Then we'll look at the next shloka as well, because the two of them put together are the Mangala shlokas, Mangalacharana. Arthatopi, okay, in Sanskrit it would be Arthatopyapi Advayanandan Atitadvaita Bhanataha Gurunaradhya Vedanta Saram Vakshye Yatamati. Arthatho api Advayanandan Atita Dvaita Bhanataha Gurun Aradhya Vedanta Saram Vakshye Yatha Mati. So again, he is the subject here, and the verb is Vakshye. Vakshye means speak, propose, put forward. All those are inferred meanings, but the direct meaning would be speak, Vakshye. Aham vakshye. I'm speaking. What am I proposing? Vedantasaram. I am actually proposing Vedantasaram, the name of this text as well, but also the essence of the Vedanta. I am proposing that. How do I know this? Or as much as I know it, yathamati, as much as I understand it, I am going to propose this. Having done something, what have I done? Aradhya, having worshipped. Who did I worship? Gurun, my guru. My guru. What are the qualities of this guru? Atita dvaita bhanataha. Atita dvaita bhanataha. What is it? Dvaita and Advaita are the words to pay attention to here. In fact, the Guru's name is Advayananda. Dvaya, dvav is two, or ekam dve, trini chatvari, those are the numbers in Sanskrit. Similarly, dvav, depending on the gender, it can be dve or dvav. So, advaya would mean non-dual, which does not accept that there are two different things in this universe. It says it is all one. There is no second. In fact, that is the other thing. Paramatma is referred to also as some advaya. There is no second to it. Kevala is another word. Kevala. Ekam, only one. Okay, so Advaya Ananda is his name, the Guru's name. But we also just now heard that Paramatma is also Advaya. There is no second to it. So he is not only worshipping Guru here, he is also worshipping Paramatma. It's like two birds. Now, as I said, there is another quality of the Guru, Atita Dvaita Bhanataha. How did he get the name? So he's saying that my Guru got this name justifiably as Advayananda, one who is able to obtain bliss in the non-dual nature of this universe. So he is able to understand it. How did he understand it? By being able to overcome the illusion of Dvaita. So in this world, everything looks like a Dvaita. Sukha, dukkha, happiness and sorrow, heat and cold, victory and loss, tall, short. Everything definitely seems to be having a duality to it. So that pertains to the material existence, but not to the cosmic oneness. So he is able to understand and overcome that illusion that has been created by what? By the ignorance. Ignorance, as we already spoke about earlier, it has a name called Maya or the Avidya. Now we can say that the entire purpose of this text is already mentioned in this shloka. And that's the intelligence and the clever method with which shlokas are built in as well. In here you actually can see three purposes of this shloka. One, paying respect to the Guru. Second, paying respect to the Paramatma. Third, giving us already the hint that this is what we are going to do in this book. That I'm going to propose what brings in the illusion to make us believe that there is duality. And once I kind of give you all the reasons how it all comes about, I would then want you to kind of realize it for yourself, how you need to get over it and realize that you are the Advaya. You are the Advaya. There's no two to it. You are only one. And that oneness is there to be seen everywhere. And you reach that stage, and therefore you're able to kind of let go of the ignorance. Okay, so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Now we will go to the text form. Hereafter, it is going to be mostly text. So I won't be singing anymore. Vedanto nama Upanishad pramanam tat upakarini shariraka sutradini. In shloka format, words can be placed anywhere. So therefore, you may have verb in some place, subject in another place, object in some place, instrument somewhere else, and so on and so forth. It just can be all jumbled up. Why? The reason for that to happen is that it gives the entire flexibility to construct it in a musical way so that we can chant and recite, memorize, so that it stays in our mind. Text, on the other hand, will have a simple structure. Of course, even in a text, you can actually place things wherever you wish to, because in Sanskrit, all words are independent of each other. So there is no compulsion that you have to place them in a certain order. But you would definitely see that they are a lot more kind of predictably placed in the order. So Vedanto nama Vedantaha. So Vedantaha. What is Vedanta? Nama. What is Vedanta? Vedanta is the one which takes evidence from, evidence is pramanam, evidence from the reference texts or scriptures of Upanishad, various Upanishads, of course. Then tat upakarini sharirika sutradini. So sharirika is the name given here to Brahma. Sharirika sutradini, sutras are the Brahma sutras. What is Brahma Sutra? What does it talk about? Basically, it talks about the same thing. The one who resides in this body. So that is the Sharira, the one who is. So therefore, it is all about Atma and its knowledge around it. And Adini, Adi basically means and others and so on. So what are those others? Like Bhagavad Gita. So typically, Vedanta is going to rely on Prasthanatraya, as it is called. Prasthanatraya is Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, and Bhagavad Gita. Somewhere in a different context, I have heard the, of course, inclusion, depending if it is Bhakti Yoga, you would include Bhagavatam. But here it is not Bhakti, it is mainly Jnana or the knowledge. So therefore, it is Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, as well as the Bhagavad Gita. These are the sources which are going to be quoted as well. So there will be in between references given for the evidence that is being produced. So you can see how systematic the work is. Even in those days, it had to be systematic. You need it is for you to kind of quote the references so that it looks good at the end of the day. It looks like a scientific work. So that is what Vedanta is. He is explaining. So first word he has taken up is what is Vedanta. And in that he had said Upanishads, Brahma Sutras and Bhagavad Gita become the source of information from which evidence is being sought to propose this Vedantasara. There are a few words to be seen there. One is Pramanam. Then we will also come across another word called Pramata. Then there is another word called as Prameyam. And there is another word called as a Prama. Pramata is the one who is actually seeking that knowledge. Is actively seeking out. So that is Pramata. What is he trying to know? He is actually trying to, the goal is Prameyam. Prameyam is the goal. The knowledge of that is Prama. And what is the method that he is going to follow that gives the evidence to understand the goal? That is the Pramanam. So the process you can say is Pramanam. For the Pramata to understand the Prameyam. So the subject, the method, and the result. You can say, you can use those words. Okay. We'll move to the next one here. Now, here comes an interesting aspect, not necessarily entirely relevant to any particular text, but it is just like a Mangala Charanam. Most scriptures written from in ancient India have what is called as Anubandha Chatushtayam. So Anubandha Chatushtayam as the word means, there are 4 aspects to it. And what are those? We are going to hear now. Asya Vedanta Prakaranatvat Tadiyaihi eva Anubandhaihi Tadvatta Siddhehe Nate Prutak Alochaniyaha. Alochaniyaha is the verb here. Na alochaniyaha. Alochana, do you know what it means in your languages? Alochana?
Thoughts.
Thought,
Discussion.
yes. Expression. And in Hindi, alochana is also used in a different way.
Idea.
Actually, the meaning is discussion, but now we are using alochana as in a vicious way, which is not right.
Criticism as well, right? In Hindi.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Correct. So there the meaning goes at completely different tangent. Yeah. So alochana here is based around thought. So alochaniyaha is basically shall not or shall not. Na alochaniyaha. Therefore, it is a shall. There is a shall not. There is an emphasis there. Prutak means separate. Prutak means separate. What is not to be discussed separately here? He is explaining. Basically, for any text and for Vedanta, you would have this Anubandha Chatushtayam. What are those 4? We might as well talk about now itself, although it comes later anyway. So Anubandha Chatushtayam includes 1, earlier we said Pramata, right? So that is Adhikari. Who is that eligible student or the aspirant? Number 1. Second, Visheshaha. What is the subject matter that is being discussed? Third is sambandha, relation between what? Between the subject matter which is being discussed and the source of the information. Is there any relation at all between those two, or is it just making it up? So there should be sambandha. Fourth is prayojanam. Prayojanam is what benefit do I get out of it? One of the first questions I asked earlier, what benefit are you getting by doing this? Is it only curiosity? No, not necessarily. It is, our benefit is dukkha nivaranam, letting go of misery, or ajnana nivaranam, letting or removal of ignorance. So these are going to be our benefits. So now these four are not naturally discussed in most texts anyway, including Vedanta. And on top of it, he says Vedanta Prakarana. So Prakarana, I believe, is that particular kind of a text which is concise or only deals with a part of the whole text. So Asya Vedanta Prakaranatvat, this being only a Prakarana Grantham, which is nothing but essence of an original sources. I don't need to separately talk about these four aspects called Anubandha Chatushtayam, as they're already inferred and understood and discussed much earlier in all the other Vedanta texts from which I am taking this information. Okay, why did he have to say that? Because it is a requirement that all the texts need to have it. But I guess he didn't still want to leave it aside. He still talks about those in quite a detail. So this Anubandha Chatushtayam is a very essential component for all the texts to have some eligibility to be considered worthy of studying. So you can see again that the ancients had to stick to a format. The format included not only Mangalacharanam, the format also included stating the Anubandha Chatushtaya, which is logical. You want to know who is that eligible person. You want to know what is the subject matter being discussed. A reader or even a critic wants to know if there is a relation between the source of the information and the subject matter. And also, the reader would want to know what is the benefit out of reading this. Tatra anubandha nama adhikari vishayah sambandha prayojanani. So there are these four things that I have already mentioned. Okay, adhikari is the eligible student, eligibility of the student. Vishaya is the subject, sambandha is the relation, and prayojanam is the benefit. Okay, now he's going to deal those four separately. Now first he is going to talk about adhikari. Who is that adhikari? Who is that eligible student? And once he finishes that, he'll talk about Vishaya. Once he finishes that, he'll talk about Sambandha. And then he talks about Prayojanam. So adhikari tu vidhivat adita veda vedangatvena. I deliberately put those dashes in between for easy understanding, not to be taken otherwise. It is all one conjoint word. So adhikari tu vidhivat adhita veda vedangatvena apatataha adhigata akhila vedartaha asmin janmani janmantareva kamya nishidha varjana purassaram nitya naimittika prayaschitta upasana anushtanena nirgata nikhila kalmashataya nitanta nirmalaswantaha sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha pramata. Now you're getting the full lengthy kind of sentences here. So which means that we may have to spend more time to understand. Adhikari who is the eligible student, adhikaritu. That is the eligible student who vidhivat. So vidhi basically is a set protocol, discipline, routine. Who set it? The gurus have set it, and it's been followed for numerous ages, and it works well for the student. So therefore there is a vidhi, there is a routine. So as per a routine, the student has already learned Veda along with its Vedanga. Vedanga are the auxiliary texts, the ones which go along with Veda. Were they written at the time of Vedas? No. Vedangas came later. Why? What is the importance of these Vedangas? These are essential to understand Vedas in a better way, because otherwise they can look like encrypted. So you have Siksha, Chandas, Vyakarana, Jyotishya, couple of others. So you have those Vedangas. So the Sishya, the student, not only has learnt Veda, then Vedanga, and having learnt them, so through them, apatataha, that knowledge which came down, adhigataha, he had obtained that knowledge, Akhila Vedartaha, that whole knowledge from the entire Vedas. When does he need to do this? Asmin Janmani, in this lifetime, or if we believe that this is impossible, Janmantare, not just impossible, but you would also notice that some are very accomplished. Some we say that they are gifted, they were born with intelligence. Why? Because their work has already taken place in their previous janmas. Okay, so the Vedic knowledge doesn't always come from text itself. It could also just be there already kind of given in this life, because the work has been happening in many lives before that. So that is also very important to consider here. That is why I asked earlier, what are those various things, what are those various terms that come to your mind? You said Atma, Punarjanma, Moksha, Karma, isn't it? So where does Punarjanma fit in? Janma Janmantare. Not just this life, but various lives. So Asmin Janmani or Janmantare va. Kamya actions. Now he's talking about Kamya, which are actions with a desire in mind. Nishiddha, forbidden actions. Varjana Purassaram. So this student has learned what not to do and how to do actions without desire. Then what he has to do is Nitya and Naimittika. Nitya actions, Nitya karma, those which have to be done on a regular basis. All these will be spoken of later, not to worry. Naimittika, done on special occasions. Prayaschitta, now we would have possibly done some sinful activities, knowingly or unknowingly. So what we do is we atone for those sins. Prayaschitta, penance. Upasana, this is a devotional aspect where I am focusing my mind on the manifest form, because otherwise it's a little difficult for me. So I take up a form on which I would like to devote my mind or meditate upon. Anushtanena. So doing all this anushtanam, what happened? The result was Nirgata Nikila Kalmashataya. Kalmasha is again sins. Nirgata, they've gone, evaporated. Nikila Kalma, all Kalmasha, all Kalmashas have gone away. Nitanta, Nirmala Swantaha, that resulted in a pure and peaceful mind. To do what? To do sadhana, and he had been able to also master what is called a sadhana chatushtaya. Sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha pramata. So that one who has been able to master, there are four aspects of sadhana or practice. He has also been able to master those four, and he is the pramata. He is the eligible subject who is seeking the knowledge. Earlier we spoke about pramata, pramana, prameya, right? So this is the pramata. So this adhikari is the pramata. Now what are those four sadhana chatushtaya? They are, one is called as vairagya, another is mumukshatvam, having the desire to develop, attain moksha. Mumukshatvam. Vairagya is letting go of attachment to material things. Then you have, what is the third one? Sorry, I think I'll need to just have a look. Yeah, viveka, sorry. One is viveka. Having that viveka, ability to differentiate vastu from avastu. So what is real from what is not real, he should be able to differentiate. What is atma and what is anatma, he should be able to differentiate. So this viveka is one, vairagya is other one, then shat sampattihi. There are six aspects of wealth, sampatti, six aspects of wealth. What wealth? Knowledge wealth or practice wealth. They are shama, dhamma, then shama, dhamma, uparati, then shraddha, and there are two more. We'll come to this later. Shama, dhamma, uparati, titiksha, shraddha, and there is the sixth one. We'll come to them later anyway. Okay. So this is to summarize. So the adhikari or the eligible student is one who is able to follow a routine. It has been able to kind of read the Vedas or Vedangas, then has also, as a result, been able to understand what actions to be done and what shouldn't be done, and also has been able to master the four aspects of sadhana, developing the viveka, the mental ability to differentiate, vairagya, letting go of desires and whatnot. Then you have the mumukshatvam, having the desire to get moksha, and shat sampatti. Okay, now we may ask a question. We are all ineligible because none of us have read Vedas, none of us have read Vedangas. Are we really adhikaris for this? Well, I don't have an answer for that. I would rather not worry about that because the world has changed. We are living in a different time altogether. One possibility is that maybe this is a start in this Janma, and maybe we will pursue all that knowledge in the next Janma. You never know. Or some of you may be so enlightened that you already gained all this knowledge in your previous Janmas. So maybe you have already read Vedas and Vedangas, and now you're just pretending as if you don't know anything. So it's all possible anyway. All these are entirely possible. Any questions so far?
I was anyway going to ask you the same question, sir, which you already answered.
Yeah, it's a very clear, obvious kind of discrepancy between us and what is expected there. Yeah. We'll do one more and then we'll stop, I think, because the time is up. I'll just read out
here are we referring to the four Vedas?
Well, they didn't. He didn't mention whether it is Chaturveda or only one Veda. I would imagine when he wrote, people were able to kind of master all four. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if it is
వేదము
Veda
వేదము
or
అంటే
one Veda.
4 వేదములా?
Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll just quickly read the next four actually, because they're only one-liners and because they all come in together. So Kamyani Swargadi Ishta Sadhanani Jyotishthomadhini Nishiddhani Narakadhyani Ishta Sadhanani Brahmana Hananadini. Sorry, I'm reading in English. If I was okay, let me read it in Sanskrit. Okay, Nishiddhani Narakadhyani Ishta Sadhanani Brahmana Hananadini. Okay. Then Nityani Akarane Pratyavaya Sadhanani Sandhya Vandanani Naimittikani Putra Janmadhyanubandha Bandini Jatashthyadini. Okay. Okay. So next time I should just keep the Sanskrit book open as well, so that I won't get mixed up. Okay. So what are those four? Kamyani. Earlier we have already seen in that number 6 text, which is Kamya karma, Nishiddha karma, Nitya karma, Naimittika karma. Exactly all those four are being defined here. What are Kamya karma? Where there is a desire for the action, or the desire motivates that action. What examples can be given? Like, for instance, doing some yajnas with the desire to go to heaven. That is a Kamya karma. What is being inferred here? Not to be done. Basically, Vedanta is saying, don't do such things. It's a waste of time. I mean, it is not for you. If you want to practice Vedanta to obtain moksha, that is not to be practiced. We can debate it as to whether why is it then mentioned in Vedas, and a lot of descriptions. The discussion has already been explained elsewhere. We will come to it at a later time if we need to. But otherwise, it's not a contradiction in the Vedas. It is just something you need to kind of learn as a way through. So there is Karma Kanda and there is a Jnana Kanda. So Karma Kanda part is all these things, whereas the Jnana Kanda is the knowledge part, which is the Vedanta. Nishiddhani Narakadhyani Ishta Sadhanani Brahmana Hananadini. So here there are two things that are being mentioned. Nishiddha karma, forbidden actions. What are those forbidden actions? That which lead you to go to hell. As simple as that. But Ishta Sadhanani, we willingly take part in those things. But they will only lead you to nowhere but to hell, is what is being said. And then other things like Brahmana Hananam, killing of Brahmana. Perhaps in the olden days, it was, if you read Ramayana, for instance, I would clearly see the role of Rama in when he is in forest. He's protecting the various ascetics there, the rishis, the munis, the brahmanas, because they're all continuously engaged in worldly welfare, and they keep on doing yajnas, tapas, and so on and so forth. And a lot of demons actually come and put obstacles to those various efforts that these ascetics take up. So Rama's role there as a warrior is to protect them. Okay, so Brahmana Hananam. So these demons not only put obstacles, but they also kill and eat the Brahmins. So that's what is mentioned quite a few times in the Aranya Kanda. And so that is Brahmana Hanana is also considered as a Nishiddha karma or similar things like that. Then Nitya karma. What are the Nitya karma? Those if not practiced, akarane, pratyavaya will happen. Pratyavaya is again sin or harm. Pratyavayo na vidyate says Bhagavad Gita. I can't remember which shloka particularly it is. Pratyavaya na vidyate. So harm would not take place. So but here akarane, pratyavaya takes place if it is not done. Akarane. So nitya sadhanani sandhya vandanam adi. So like for instance sandhya vandanam, worshipping, paying respects or doing practicing rituals in the morning, afternoon, and evening, Sandhya Vandanam, whatever the dawn, dusk, and the noon time. So those are Nitya Karma. They need to be performed. If not performed, there is likely to be harm. There is an explanation given in Vedantasara book by Swamiji to say that there is a difference. Mimamsakas who are very much true to the karma aspect of Vedas, the rituals and the yajnas, for them it is definitely not acceptable if the Nitya karma are not done. But he says that for the Vedantins, that is not mandatory. It may or it may not be done. Then that is the Nitya karma. Naimittika karma is the optional on done activities or duties done on special occasions. Like what? Nimittikani sadhanani are like putra janmadhyanubandhini jatoshti adini. Jatoshti is perhaps one of those kind of rituals. I don't know the details of it. But these
Namakaranam, Jatakaranam.
Jatakarma.
Namakaranam.
Namakarana. Okay. So there are 16 Shodashopakarana that are mentioned to be done throughout the life. And the end is obviously death. And there is to be a ritual to be done at the time of body's death as well. So these are to be done on special occasions. So those are the Naimittika karma. So why are they being mentioned? Now, interestingly enough, as Swami Sarvapriyananda says in one of his videos, if there is a question asked as to for Vedanta practitioners, it is all about jnana. It is nothing to do with rituals. That's not so, he says, in the sense that Vedantins are not against anything in particular, but it is just that they are all subsets or only to be seen as stepping stones for you to kind of progress. So we are talking about adhikari here, right? So naturally, adhikari, whatever we have seen so far, knowledge of the Vedas, performing certain actions, not performing forbidden actions, then practicing the sadhana chatushtaya and so on. So this is very much part of it is what has been explained so far. As I said, we'll stop here for today. Let me know if you have anything that you would like to ask or discuss.
నిత్యానుష్ఠానం అంటే మళ్ళీ రిచువలిస్టిక్ అంటారేమోనండి.
Yeah, but we are going by the text, kada? So the text says in Vedantasara.
It has to be
Yeah, where the adhikari is being defined as one who would have to make sure that those are done.
Done, perform,
Nitya.
Nityanushtana.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's a path for the further realization.
I guess so. I guess
I
so.
guess so.
Most of them are not being done by us, so we are nobody to
Yes.
even comment. Right.
Sir, just quick clarification. This kamya karma, these are not to be done.
Not to be done according to Vedanta. Mimamsaka says, no, we will do them. So if you read their version, they will say there is a reason why they are to be done and how they are to be done. So they give a good description as to why they should be done, how they should be done, and so on. But what is the result? They accept. They accept that it's going to heaven. But moksha is not the same as heaven. Bhagavad Gita clearly says that once you reach heaven, you will enjoy all the things that are there and you will still have to come back into life. Okay. Moksha is not that. Moksha is complete oneness where there is no nivartanam. He uses the word nivartate. You don't come back anymore. So there's a gulf of difference between moksha and swarga. Swarga is only just a temporary stage of you having a fanciful enjoyment up there in your subtle body, only to come back again. But moksha is you are back in. You don't even know you exist anymore. Moksha is that. Moksha is you just have nothing to do. You just evaporated into thin air. Yeah.
I find a very interesting, just want to share with the group here. I mean, again, my perspective in the second, let's call it shloka, the last part, Vedantasara ham vakshe yathamati. I think it mentions here in that translation, according to my light. So, which I thought was very interesting because he's making it very clear from the beginning that this is in his perspective what. And I think one of the problems which we face nowadays, people don't make it clear that this is from their perspective because everybody wants to say that this is what the Veda says. Now, this is what the Veda says, and this is what the Veda says from my perspective. They're two different things.
Absolutely. Very well said. See how humble they were. In fact, a lot of texts, like Rigvedas, you don't even know who has written or who had not writing is not the right word because it was all Shruti and then it was transmitted orally and so on. A lot of texts, the writers were so humble that they wouldn't really claim it is their work. They're just instruments through which this work has taken place. Okay.
At least they have reached that Vedanta that's beyond everything and reached the oneness. And that's why they don't think it is necessary to gain any fame or anything.
Yeah. That is true. But unfortunately for us, what happened nowadays is in a day where everything has to be documented, we have lost out on documentary evidence. Who said what? When did they say? Because we didn't have that, which is fine. I'm not saying that, our approach was actually the right approach because we are true seekers of spirituality in that sense, and we have been practicing dharma the right way. But in the modern world, what has happened is that we are having to prove time and again that these are valid, these are systematic ways to understand the truth. Otherwise, everybody is very quick to brand us as pseudoscientists and whatnot. Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword. But I must also add that they were doing real research then. We are not doing any research. We're just parroting what was already done. That we need to stop. We need to become researchers again. We need to continue the legacy, and we need to carry on the work. So
one corollary from that research point of view, I mean, so nicely, I mean, the way we in our school and till now also we label experiments with topics like aims, objectives, materials and methods, procedure, etc. How this Chatushtayam, the way it's very systematically captured from the beginning,
yeah,
it's very fascinating that at that point of time also there was clarity that every book will have these four main things. So one of the things,
every book,
yeah, one of the
without an
things from,
exception. Yeah.
yeah,
And
here, which
let me add, sorry, it's not just spiritual texts, poetics, grammar, linguistics, you take any form, they will still have a Mangalacharanam and Anubandha Chatushtayam.
wow,
It's not just spiritual text.
fantastic. There is one point here you mentioned about connection between subject matter and source. That's probably we'll probably discuss in the future ones, but that is something I would like to know a little bit more. It looks very, and it's still need to understand what's the meaning of connection. Sambandha is connection between subject matter and source.
Yeah,
But
I mean, not much will be said about it, but bottom line is it is possibly a reminder for the or a roadmap for the author to continue to stick without digressing. So more than, I don't think it is beyond that. So it helps you therefore to stick to what you are proposing here. Otherwise, there is a danger that you may keep digressing.
Understood. Okay, to be focused. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And one question, Srinivas garu, Dr. Garu. In Vedanta, Vedas, we say Shruti. It's only heard.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you.
By sages, and it's passed on to. Yeah. How is it like? How did that happen? And when did it come to like in the written form, like Vedas?
So you're asking me when it has come into written form? I don't know.
Yeah, like how it happened, the transfer of knowledge, like from sages when they heard the Vedas in their like meditation and tapasya. So they passed on to their students, like Sishyas. Is it something like that? It happened continuous.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is my understanding. This is my understanding. When it is heard, that only is Shruti. Once it is transmitted, I would call it Smriti.
Oh, okay.
That is my understanding. Because Smriti is nothing but remembering. But we can argue that how can it be Smriti? Because what has been heard is being transmitted to somebody else word to word without any loss. Because in those days it was all oral tradition.
Yeah.
Nothing can be lost. So that also you can call it Shruti therefore. So if that is case, what is Smriti? Smriti would be anything that is like anything that is more like a commentary on the Shruti or written with Shruti as the inspiration. That is then going to be Shruti. For instance, the Yajnavalka Smriti, Manu Smriti. So these are written inspired by the Shruti. The other difference between Shruti and Smriti, again, as much as I understand, is, which is more valid, Shruti is constant, timeless. It is applicable for all ages. Smriti is not timeless. It is time bound. And it has an expiry date, not perhaps on all aspects, because it includes all those aspects which are eternal knowledge, but it may also include which is not cosmic knowledge but more relevant to material existence. So therefore, rules of the society, how Sanatana Dharma then gets applied to bring, for instance, Varna is the inspiration for Jati, and how Grihastha Ashrama is brought into play, and how we structure marriages. So those may keep changing with time. So Smritis are therefore time bound, it is well accepted, whereas Shruti, that difference is well accepted, whereas Shruti is timeless. So that's the only other difference. It's not necessary that Smriti is the start of written language. I don't think so. Smriti also perhaps has gone for a very long time as an oral tradition. The written tradition only came much later.
So all the four Vedas were, seen by different sages, or
by Vedavyasa.
Ledanడి, not
No,
Vedavyasa. Vedavyasa compiled
not-
them into 4.
Yeah.
No.
But
Before that, it
different
existed.
sages heard the Vedas. Yeah, different Vedas were heard by different sages. Was it right? Am I right?
That's true. Yeah, not entire Veda, but you know that in one mandala, one rishi would be mentioned, another mandala, another rishi would be mentioned. So it's a compilation. Again, yes, in fundamentally, all the Vedas were heard. That is cosmic transmission. Cosmic transmission is Shruti. Cosmic transmission is Veda. That you are right. And only those who were able to receive that, who were the rishis, managed to receive it.
Even there is some discussion that Vedavyasa is not one person. It's probably kind of constellation of people.
Yeah, but again,
because Vedavyasa has written everything.
Understandably, there are a few things which are not also attributed to Adi Shankara. It could be other Shankaracharyas. Let's not go there because Vedavyasa came much later. Vedas have been there eternally and again timeless. It's not necessary that we have to only consider Vedas to be belonging to this particular kalpa. Every kalpa, the Vedas will be revealed. So it's just there to be plucked out. That's it. There may be a few things included in the Vedas which are I'm not too sure. Depending on, for instance, I've included in my one of my books I'm writing up, which is Psychology from Ancient Indian Literature. So there's a story of a gambler and the gambler's problems. It is actually included in Rig Veda. So I'm not too sure if we can actually say that was heard. So that can't be the case. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I hope it was not too kind of over the head. Was it going okay? Are we going at the right speed?
Yeah.
I would probably suggest it will be very helpful if we have a reading before coming to this session. I think I did half. So whatever half I did, I could understand very well. The rest half, I didn't. So I need to go back again and read.
That's fine. Yeah, please do read for the next come prepared for the next session. Also makes it easy for you. I'll be happy to share the text I have already kind of typed up if it helps. All right.
Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Namaste.